Ascended extraterrestrials gave humanity the light body teachings. The Tibetan Lamas state that they received the teachings of the Great Perfection from extraterrestrials who live in other star systems. They also mentioned these beings are tall Nordic beings who gave them such teachings. The teachings are based on using the 5 elements of the soul and the serpent energies to transform the individual into the ascended state. The serpent energy in Tibet is shown as the goddess Kundi, whose name means supreme purity. This is the goddess Kundi in Hinduism and Kundri in the Western Grail tradition. The ascension teachings are from Bon, not Buddhism. Some of it became assimilated, but much was lost due to repression of Bon by Buddhism. If one studies the history of Tibet, the amount of highly ascended beings starts to vanish once Buddhism becomes dominate. The Kala Charko was the source of Bon, and it's based on the magnum opus, and its main god is Shiva Rudra. The Tibetans state they received such from Mora, which is Amonra, around 20,000 years ago. Amon is a major god in the Far East. He is also known as Mon in China, and Amon in Japan. Note Mon is another name of Bon. It's S from Amon, who was also a major god to the Egyptians and Greeks. The Tibetans have termes, some of which are also spiritual texts that were channeled to them by extraterrestrials. The Tibetans, who master this, can read a text perfectly from anywhere, by their psychic abilities. The masters will hide a text the individual has never read, and the individual has to tune into it with their mind, and then read it from the hidden location perfectly. That is the level of qualification to work and channel such information. This is a major reason the enemy wants to remove such knowledge from humanity, so we can't get back into contact with our gods. They show anything to do with opening the mind as negative and scary in their media all the time as well. When they took over Russia with communism, the spiritualist groups who were trying to develop themselves and get into contract with ascended extraterrestrials were all shot by the communists. When the communists invaded Tibet, they worked to destroy any remaining ascension teachings. No different than the Catholic Church or Islam. All programs of the enemy are to descend humanity and enslave us. In the ancient Hindu temples, they show the real Vimanas, which are literal UFO style flying discs, not the fancy chariots or flying palaces. Literal flying saucers, the actual drawings made by an engineer of the Vimana from the Hindu Vimana Shastra from the descriptions given within the Shasta, are the same image of the actual Vimana from the ancient Hindu temple. In ancient Hindu images it shows the god Shiva sitting within a literal Vimana giving instructions to humans. Many Hindu temples shows our gods emerging from Vimanas to teach humanity. The ancient histories openly state that our gods, who are fully ascended extraterrestrials, gave us the spiritual teachings of the light body. The goal of being human is to fully ascend to this state and reach their level. Many of our gods are also humans, who ascended in the Golden Age with these teachings. This is the goal of humanity, and the entire original Orion culture that was on this planet in the Golden Age, as the histories state, came from our gods. The goal of such is humans ascending. Humanity must turn back to the Orion ascension culture and embrace our ascended ancestors, who live and work eternally to help us to return to the truth. They want us rise up to their level and greet them as fellow ascended beings. The Egyptians stated, when the pharaoh would ascend, he will return to Orion as an ascended being, to dwell amongst the ascended beings in the Milky Way galaxy, which is called Tula in Sanskrit, and the Choat to the Egyptians, and Thul to the Greeks.